In the heart of Tokyo, amidst the neon glow and the constant hum of city life, lies a story that shook Japan to its core. A story of mystery, intrigue, and a murder investigation that would forever change the nation and the lives of those living in Japan. It began in a quiet district called Kamisoshigaya in the year 2000, and what unfolded would trigger the most extensive murder investigation in Japan's history. The case that captivated and horrified the nation involved the brutal murder of a family of 4 in the quiet district of Kamisoshigaya. As we go into the details of this tragic event, kindly like this video and subscribe to this channel if you find true crime content interesting. The Setagaya family consisted of Mikio Miyazawa, a 44-year-old employee at a British marketing company, his 41-year-old wife Yasuko, a home tutor, and their children, 8-year-old Niina and 6-year-old Rei. The day of December 30th started like any other. Like many families shopping for New Year's celebrations, the Setagaya family had started the day at shops near the Chitose Karasuyama station. After completing their New Year shopping, the family went home to spend a relaxing night eating dinner and watching TV together before finally calling it a night. But they had no idea that this would be their final night alive. On the night of December 20th in the year 2000, a man came into the Setagaya home through the nearby Soshigaya Park. Using a tree in the backyard, he got into the house through the window. On reaching the window, he removed the window screen that was in one of the bathrooms and got into the house. After leaving the bathroom, he entered the closest bedroom to where he came in, 6-year-old Rei's bedroom. The strange man then did something nobody could imagine would happen. While Rei was sleeping in his bed, the man strangled the young child to death. The killer then turned his attention to the father, Mikio Miyazawa, who was awake at the time, on the first floor finishing up work. Mikio had no idea that his son, Rei, was no more and that he was about to be the next victim of a brutal killer. The killer went on to attack and stab Mikio with a sashimi knife. The force was so strong that the sashimi knife broke, leaving part of the blade lodged in Mikio's head. Yasuko and Niina were subsequently killed with a kitchen knife while they slept in the attic. After the murder, the body of 8-year-old Niina was found to be missing teeth, indicating that she was not only stabbed but beaten as well. Forensic evidence shows that Niina was the last to die. The event that happened after the murder is what made the story become something of national interest. In a chilling display of callousness, the killer remained in the family's home for more than 2 hours after the murders, walking around the bodies. The killer even consumed ice cream and tea in the kitchen, leaving behind saliva and fingerprint evidence. This series of actions by the killer made investigators tag the murder as the Goldilocks murder. While eating in the kitchen, the killer came across the family's first aid kit and used it to patch up a cut he got on his hand during the attack. Once he had patched the wound, he left the bloodied bandages there, leaving police with a blood sample. It was as if he was daring the police to come after him if they could. After leaving the kitchen, the killer went to the storage room on the first floor and ransacked the family's documents. At some point, he also made use of the toilet in the second-floor bathroom. He then wiped his hands on the bathroom towel, once again smearing his blood on it, and left the bathroom, neglecting to flush. At some point, the killer had decided to remove his jacket, hat, shirt, and scarf and left behind all of these items, as well as 2 handkerchiefs, a fanny pack, and a pair of black gloves. Both murder weapons, the sashimi knife the killer brought with him, as well as the kitchen knife he switched to during the attack, were also left at the scene. With so much confidence residing in the killer, he turned on Mikio's computer at 1:18 a.m. Their computer logs showed that the killer created a new folder. These logs also show that the computer came on around 10 a.m. The following day, at around 10 a.m., Yasuko's mother, Haruo Jako, went to the family's home to check on them after Haruko's calls went unanswered. Upon opening the door and proceeding into the house, she saw the body of her son where the killer left him, at the bottom of the stairs, and after the initial shock, she called the police. Upon arriving at the crime scene, the police were met with a vicious and heart-wrenching sight. Investigators described the crime scene as a mountain of trissure due to the extensive evidence left behind, including the killer's attempts and murder weapons. With fingerprints, shoe prints, DNA samples from blood, the killer's clothes, and even his unflushed feces, the police and many others thought that the case would be easy to solve. But as years went by, their thoughts gradually began to fiddle down. As the nearby Seijo Police and later the Tokyo Metropolitan Police came to the scene, their first task was collecting and processing every piece of evidence left behind. And with the abundance of evidence at the scene, this was no easy task. Running the fingerprints, analyzing the DNA from the blood samples, and tracking down the origin of the clothing items was a long and tedious job. Nevertheless, the details obtained from each piece of evidence gave a clear picture of who this killer was. Firstly, the clothing left behind allowed police to put together a shockingly clear picture of what the killer looked like that night, down to where he shopped for his clothes and what cologne he was wearing. This picture gave a very clear composite to circulate to potential witnesses in the area. According to the police, the killer was wearing a gray Crusher bucket hat, a white baseball shirt with purple sleeves, a cheap plaid scarf with no tags, a Uniqlo AirTech jacket, black gloves, and a gray and black fanny pack. Using the various footprints left at the scene, investigators could also see the type of shoe he was wearing, determined to be Slazenger sneakers, 27.5 centimeters in size. All this information could make a composite of the killer's clothing. Now, with a prominent picture of what the killer's clothes must have looked like, the police turned their attention to the murder weapon and DNA evidence at the scene. With so much DNA evidence at the scene, the police thought it would be a walk in the park. From saliva to hair to blood and feces, the DNA makeup of the killer was all over the house. But while this might have been especially exciting for investigators outside Japan, Japanese laws around handling DNA are stringent. After thorough analysis of all of the evidence, investigators concluded the killer to be within the ages of 15 and 35, as he needed to be athletic enough to climb to the second-floor window. He was also said to be at least 5 feet tall and rather slender. The DNA evidence showed that he was a male with type A blood, and his feces proved that his last meal must have consisted of string beans and sesame seeds. Now, the police were left with the fingerprints of the killer, which they ran but found no matches to anyone in their system. This could only mean that the killer had no prior criminal record. Still, in a bid to catch the killer, the police put out a reward of 20 million yen for any information leading to the arrest of the killer. This is the largest reward ever offered by the Japanese police. With the killer at large, the 92-year-old grandmother of the Miyazawa family, Setsuko, is still waiting for answers. She is seeking closure as she stands at the entrance of the Chitose Karasuyama station in Setagaya, Tokyo, handing out flyers in the hopes that someone may know something that would bring her son's killer to justice. The tragic killing of the Miyazawa family still haunts people in Japan, primarily because the police could not come up with anyone of interest, even with all the wealth of evidence at their disposal. With over 250,000 investigators, 16,000 pieces of evidence, and 15,000 tips, it was a massive investigation. Yet despite the massive effort, the case remains unsolved, leaving a haunting question in the minds of many. Thank you for watching this video. Before you go, kindly like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave your thoughts on this case in the comment section. See you next time.